I am honored and excited to introduce Christopher Connors.
Thank you, Betsy. Thank you. As we think about why we're here today, so much of what life is all about and what I truly believe business is all about is elevating others and giving people the opportunity to do great work. A champion leader is someone who is purpose-driven, rooted in core values, inspirational, and committed to positively influencing others to achieve results and create an enduring impact. Championship leadership is about leading with emotional intelligence, which starts with self-awareness. What is emotional intelligence? It's the ability to recognize, understand, and manage our emotions. And it's the ability to recognize, understand, and influence the emotions of other people. Being here in Dallas in particular, I love to share a story about someone that I truly believe is a champion leader. It was over 55 years ago that Herb Kelleher, who was the founder and CEO of Southwest Airlines, started Southwest. And he was so big on infusing that warrior spirit that he was so proud to talk about into the culture. He was a true original. He was a brilliant businessman, but it was really the side of him that kind of made him famous and made Southwest famous. He would drink Wild Turkey bourbon, he smoked cool cigarettes, and he showed up to holiday parties dressed like Elvis. Don't do all three of those things at the same time, okay? But all of those things made him who he was, and they were the quirks and the idiosyncrasies that made him truly authentic, made him much more relatable to people, and again, created that culture that Southwest became known by. But ultimately, Southwest was able to achieve, as an airline, 47 consecutive years of profitability because of the culture that he built. And so everything that you want to bring out to the students and to everyone that you relate to here, it starts at home. About a year ago, I ran a poll on LinkedIn that got a pretty overwhelming response. I had about over 4,000 people respond to this. And the question that I asked was, what is the most important leadership communication skill? And I gave about 4 different options and choices. Would anyone like to take a guess what overwhelmingly was the top choice at 76%? Listening. But not everyone always gets that. Everybody in this room is like, yeah, listening. Not everyone always gets that right. Listening. Communication begins with listening. Empathy begins with listening. Every touch point, every connection, every conversation cannot begin unless there is someone there who is listening. So you've got to go all in. This thing is one of the worst things that's ever happened to us in a lot of ways. There's way too many distractions in life. If you're going to be an advocate and show care and show belonging, you've got to go all in how you listen. I was actually speaking at another event here in Dallas a couple of months ago, and I made the really unintelligent decision to use a picture of one of the Cowboys players, I think it was Dak Prescott, getting sacked. Guys, I had to enter the witness protection program for about 4 months. I just got out last week. Don't come to Dallas and make fun of the Cowboys, okay? So leadership is a contact sport. It is empathy that is proactive and not reactive. Don't wait. The single biggest problem in communication is the illusion that it's taken place. So be there and ensure that that conversation does in fact take place. Be willing to have it. If you walk away from a conversation with a student and there's that little spidey sense that you have that's like, I don't know if they totally got what I said, or I'm not sure if they walked away from that feeling totally confident. Make sure that that conversation takes place. Take that initiative. But hold on a second. I just want to make sure that you totally got that. That's huge. If there's one thing that I've learned, both with my children and a lot of the people that I work with, a lot of the time when someone comes to you, they might be coming about X or talking about X, but in reality, it's Y that they really want to get to. So be a detective. Be guided by curiosity to try to get to brass tacks and get someone to open up. You do that with empathy and you do that with candor. What's up? Tell me what's going on. That's a great way to get somebody to open up and really get to the thing that they need. They might need just a little mountain moved out of their way so that they can move forward. I remember when my oldest son was very little, and for all of us who are parents, we know, especially with that first child, you got a million questions that you want to ask the doctor at every visit. And we had an unbelievable pediatrician, and every time that I would ask him something, he would always say, short answer, long answer. What should we be giving him at age 8 months? Short answer, this. And then he'd give the explanation behind it. And I have found in any industry that if you can lead with that for either communicating or making a decision, that short answer, long answer approach, it is welcomed and appreciated by everybody. A couple of years ago now, a couple of summers ago, I was preparing for a coaching call with Richard Weitz, who I was working with that summer. For some context, Richard Weitz was about to become the co-chairman of the William Morris Endeavor Talent Agency, or WME, which is the largest talent agency in the world. So Richard Weitz was about to become one of the most powerful people in all of Hollywood, and I was getting to work with him during that time on how he could help to build a culture of empathy and candor at WME. One thing that I learned from Richard Weitz was to be a fan. And you know, candidly, I am not necessarily the greatest with remembering specific dates or remembering what I was doing at specific moments, but it was Wednesday, August 17th at 7:57 p.m. The winds were out of the east-northeast. It was a waning gibbous moon when an email came on my phone from Richard Weitz, and he said, call me. So I picked up the phone and he immediately answered, and he said, I'm a fan. Think about how that made me feel. So be a fan. If you are genuine and you are real and you truly decide to go all in, you can be a fan of other people, and the ripple effects that that will have on them are unbelievable. It's just very candid, very straight, honest, open, and real. Some people in certain instances like to call that a compliment. One thing that I've learned from my coaching work, I call it well-timed praise. I've already, in the time that I've been here, seen just incredible positivity and energy in this room. Don't be afraid to compliment that to somebody else. Specify it. That's what connects, and that's what really lifts someone up. In the early spring of 1980, Mike Krzyzewski was at the start of a long coaching journey. Coach Krzyzewski's first 3 years as the head basketball coach of the men's basketball team at Duke University were up and down, but there was more down than up. After just 3 years on the job, including 2 consecutive losing seasons, things were not looking good, and they were about to get worse. In March of '83, in the 1983 ACC tournament game, Duke went on to play Virginia. They got outplayed, humiliated, and flat out embarrassed. Duke lost that game 109-66, and the writing was on the wall. After just a couple of years on the job, speculation began to swirl that Coach K may in fact be fired. Things were not looking good. After the game in Atlanta, members of the Duke basketball staff, Coach Krzyzewski and some of the members of the Duke basketball program did what all great Americans do. They went to go get dinner at a nearby Denny's. As they sat over that meal and ate, it was a somber scene, and everybody just kind of looked around at the table and wondered, what just hit us? Trying to break up the awkwardness and the silence of the moment, the Duke Sports Information Director decided to pick up his glass of iced tea. He looked around the table and looked at everybody in the room, and he said, here's to forgetting about tonight. But before he could finish, Coach K stopped him. What happened next, Coach K later went on to recall, was probably the most important moment of his entire coaching career. He picked up his glass of water, looked around the table, and looked at everybody and said, here's to never forgetting about tonight. And the message was clear. Rock bottom would become the foundation upon which the Duke men's basketball program would begin to rebuild its present and its future. Coach Krzyzewski made sure that nobody would ever forget where they came from or what happened to them that night. He began to rebuild the program brick by brick with qualities such as camaraderie, core values, putting real attention to detail, in the folks that they brought into the program, a lot of these great players that would come on to play for Duke basketball. Some of our greatest wins in life come from our biggest defeats, biggest moments of adversity, biggest challenges, moments where it seems like we should give up, moments where things don't look so good. But Coach K recognized, as all great leaders do, that he needed to make sense of why that happened and that he could use that to his advantage. And we know Duke basketball today as one of the greatest college basketball programs in the country, if not the best. All of us are going to encounter those moments where we're challenged to our core to understand our why, and it's that why that will often motivate and inspire us. Purpose is in the blood, kind of like being a fan of the Dallas Cowboys. It's been with you for years, and yet there's always those moments in life that come to define us and challenge us to be better. Like a sports coach, you may not be able to control how someone shows up, but you sure as heck have the ability to influence how other people show up. It's that awareness, it's that ability to be empathetic and look to connect with people that truly matters in the end. So I leave you with, how do you want someone to feel after they've interacted with you? And I hope that that guides every connection that you have, both with each other and with the students. How can you let someone know that you're a fan and that you're there to help them succeed? Tell them. Be a fan. Be honest, be open, be real. How will you show up and how will you influence those around you to show up as their authentic selves? And when is the best time to build a relationship? That time is always now. Emotional intelligence is a skill set that every single one of you in this room can improve and work on and get better at every day. And I really mean that. When what you want for yourself is the opportunity to bring out the very best in others, you'll discover what it truly means to live and lead like a champion. Thank you guys so much.